head, and there he goes. Abyss gonna clean him up.
Olaf goes down. Everyone's just gonna line up here for Lazzy. He's gonna find himself the Quadra. Give it to him. Pentakill.
Priestley with the quad feed.
Gets the ace. Available, just spin to win all over.
That game was insane.
Hello, welcome everybody to the Saints Gaming CA channel. We were just getting underway here with PlayVS Fortnite Trios. Of course, week 3 of action here tonight, and we're in for a treat because this one is going to get messy. Of course, dropping into game number 1, we have ourselves a new patch, we have ourselves new maps, new weapons, crafting systems. This is going to be odd nonetheless, but it should be exciting as well. And it looks like to start things off here, Saints probably going to try and go for what they know best, of course, going for that far west side. But that being said, a lot of the people that they're kind of driving in here with seem to be taking the same route. Siri going to be forced to take this transport truck for a ride because, oddly enough, so many people coming with them here on this west side. I think there's at least another 2 teams. So the Saints are definitely going to have to expedite their usual farming process here. Give themselves at least a tiny bit of a breather, but it looks scary for at least the moment. And of course, my name is Dan Banner, also known as Mr. Dan Ayres, your host and producer here for tonight's action here for the Saints Gaming CA stream. Your hometown squad, your team here for the Saints, going to consist of course, we got coach and player and coach, of course, as Siri. We have Lasix and Junie. Trios action once again. Last time in PlayVS, or after week 2, I believe our team was within the top 20. And now we get to see if our Saints can capitalize on the chaos, which is going to be trying to learn a brand new map with all these brand new systems literally a day after it came out. I know even yesterday, of course, patch drops and there was the solos action for PlayVS as well. And a couple of the players were able to at least maybe figure out a couple of the weapons that they are a little bit more comfortable with. But the big thing that you're going to have to keep an eye on, of course, will be which kind of weapons they're picking up. I mean, of course, it's all about which rarity they are, right? Not necessarily anymore. You have basically 2 types of weapons that you could find. You can find makeshift guns, which are a little bit weaker off the start, but you can craft them with resources that you find on the map to power them up into something stronger. Or you can find what's called a primal gun. The primal guns off the bat are a little bit stronger, but not all of them can be crafted. Most of these makeshift weapons, when they do get crafted, however, become better than primals. So do you want the instant gratification of finding a primal, or possibly have something a little bit stronger towards the late game? That is going to be the risk reward per item there. Of course, sniper rifles completely taken out of the game. That being said, though, you have crossbows taking their place, which basically is going to be functioning like a sniper rifle of sorts. But instead of just raw damage, you're basically going to be able to craft crossbows with some sort of added utility. Siri was talking to me a little bit prior to the game happening that, as we see a little bit of engage here for the Saints, but you can add like fire, you can add gas to your crossbows themselves and make it like a smoke bomb or something. Now, hang on a second. Siri does happen to find one of the players here. Gonna go right point blank here with them, and with the rest of the Saints closing in, it is just a matter of time before they get knocked. Sure enough, gonna start things off strong. Gonna take your transmitter, please, and then take you down nice and quick. One elimination on the board already here for the Saints. And you may have seen actually the fish that that Siri just picked up. That fish is one of those crafting items that you would need if you do happen to get a crossbow. If you combine that with that stink fish, you then basically get a smoke canister of poison gas when you launch a crossbow shot. So there's going to be a lot of little intricacies like that going forward in this new season that even the Saints aren't necessarily 100% sure of. going to be interesting going forward into this game. Of course, not everybody's had a lot of time to really really toy around with the game too much. I know there's definitely a couple of teams that must have went absolutely ballistic as soon as that season patch dropped, but not everybody had that privilege. Thankfully, of course, the Saints, like I was saying before, did play in yesterday's solos, so they have at least a rough idea. Green makeshift rifle on the ground there, a couple pieces of metal as well, craftable materials that are going to be absolutely critical. Another big difference that was brought to my attention by Siri is the fact that the way the map's changed, it makes it much harder for longer range spotting. You'll notice that this map, compared to what was going down in the last season, as we do see the crossbow coming out here, is he going to actually combine this thing? He very well might. We'll see in a moment. But the map, it is now all full of wildlife, full of nature. We're going to see, actually, that's what it's going to look like when they end up crafting something. You can level it up to a blue, and now that it's a blue, he has the stinkfish, and now he's got himself a crossbow, basically acting like a sniper, but also with that poison gas, especially when we start getting into those end-game clusters. Being able to smoke somebody out is going to be so valuable. Yeah, in regards to the map itself, again, like there's no big deserts, there's no gigantic plains that you can walk across and basically be a sitting duck for. It's constantly full of cover, trees all across the map, and spotting people out is going to be just that much more difficult, unless you just walk into them point blank here, as we do see Siri does find somebody. He's going to try and take himself the high ground. Junie and Lazik's going to be nice and close behind as well. Open fire, gets him into the white, I do believe, in this situation. There's going to be the smoke arrow. We'll have to see where it ends up showing up. Just going to try and pinch him in there, it looks like. Force him to come out. Put him at least into a bit of an awkward spot. Siri still point blank here with the other player, just on the other side of the wall. And going to continue just to keep using those crossbows. You're not going to be safe in your own hut. You're going to just get completely smoked away. Got to keep on moving in those scenarios. And of course, for tonight's action, we're going to strictly have Siri's point of view unless he does end up going down. Unfortunately, there are a couple spectator bugs in the current patch that do need to be fixed up a little bit. Would not allow me to switch point of views or even find our team. So I'm going to strictly just use Siri's point of view for now. We'll continue to play around the new or the spectator system once the patch does get fixed up. In the meantime, we do see Junie leading the charge here with the rest of the Saints still trying to get the finishing blow onto this guy, really giving the Saints a runaround. Just ring around the entire place, apparently. Oh, can he actually get... Siri does get jumped on a little bit. Took a ton of damage via a shotgun shot, and he is going to go down from behind. Junie coming in for the save, however, before Siri does get taken down. Get him to safety. Throw him aside. Watch out, though, from the top. Wilgio on the side of some other collegiate team is going to make a mess out of things. It is going to be Junie now in position with the player right in front of him. Lazik's not too far behind. Solid shotgun shot. That was a knock there for Junie, but at the same time, Junie gets knocked down as well. Lazik's the only one alive. The storm has shown up. Junie is probably not going to be able to get revived here in this situation, so the chaos is already starting off a little bit rough here for the Saints. Good shotgun shot here for Lazik's, but he's got to think about maybe making a run for it because the storm is still ticking. Can pop as much shields as you want, but of course that's one thing that has not changed. The storm does not care about your shields. Lazik's does have a first aid pack if necessary. Big shot again, going to take away any shields that player had. Is going to end up popping the health pack. Keep himself in this game just a little bit longer. Actually kind of canceled it, so he's... Oh, never mind, just a little bit of lag, looks like. But yeah, Lazik's going to be taking damage, but still going head-to-head against that other player that did take out Junie earlier. And technically, it's still extremely early in this first game. Still 72 players alive in this matchup, and the fact that Saints are already kind of scavenging for survival is a little bit concerning, but Lasix does a fantastic job of just timing out the person inside the storm. Is going to end up picking up all of the loot left behind. There's still somebody else maybe right around the corner, however, so has to be careful. As soon as he has the opportunity, could definitely go out. The storm, or the safe zone's not far away, but time is not exactly on his side. 30 seconds left before it starts moving once again. Pop the shield, maybe pop another first aid. Then he has to go. Down to 20 health. This is going to end up getting moving. He has to use the first aid. Basically in the open. Going to be able to get it down just in the nick of time, I do believe. Bandages as well. Going to come in clutch, it looks like. Going to have ourselves a quick in regards to settings, apparently. Siri's trolling me a bit. Okay, we're good there. So Lasix still alive, still fighting through the storm. Finds himself our stinkfish, it looks like. Still fighting through the storm. We have ourselves how many players here? About 68, 69 players so far. Still very early here. And the fact that Lasix has been playing here in the storm for so long is absolutely brutal. I mean, at least the Saints were able to get at least 2 eliminations at the very minimum. Looks like a crossbow there for him. And that is one of those smoked ones too, so nice pickup there. Was able to find, that might have been series as well. So now that he's got that picked up, and try and make the run for it now. Does have one more first aid pack in action here. And Junie is actually alive. How the heck did that happen? Getting absolutely baited here tonight, apparently, but that's okay, I suppose. I definitely must have missed something there, but it's good on the Saints to have Junie back into this game as well. At least has the shotgun available, plus the healing meds and a couple of shields. Keep himself going. Pretty far ahead of Lasix, however, so I might be trying to just play it a little bit safer. Wait until Lasix is a little bit closer. That might be lagging for me, but it might. There it is. Okay, sure enough. Junie going to keep himself in the game just a little bit longer. Lasix going to be just around the corner. Actually coming in via zip line, so he's going to be able to get there nice and quick. Good find, good usage of that zip line. Going to be able to make it just in time. Good thing. Did not have any more healing left, but he's going to get open fired upon instantly as soon as he got into the safe zone. Junie's defending from one side. Lasix a little bit further up. Very wounded, however, due to the battles in the storm, or traversing the storm for so long. Saints going to try and take the river at this point, considering how beaten and battered they are. Probably don't want to find themselves in a position to find an engagement, rather try and get themselves at least a little bit closer towards the end of the game, get themselves a couple extra points in this PlayVS series just by surviving. Of course, they do have at least 2, maybe more eliminations on the board for them right now. As you can tell from some of the players kind of skating around a little bit, unfortunately there for this patch, with the patch being so new, some of the features are still a little bit in progress. We are going to see Lasix get open fired upon, barely going to keep himself alive. No, going to end up getting knocked a little bit further away from Junie as well. So Lasix is going to end up going down. And now it's going to be all up to Junie. Definitely needs to look to be as low profile as possible. Take an opportunity to see if you can snag a little bit of loot moving forward. Manages to find a yellow shoddy, but it may not be the kind that he specifically wants. Or try and top off with a couple fish prior to moving forward here. Storm moves in closer. Junie, of course, last one alive, able to keep himself out of the storm, sitting with 100 health, but does not have full shield as of this moment. Opt to keep the stinkfish and instead of taking the first aid med. Granted, you can eat the fish way quicker than you can actually eat the, or not eat the first aid med, but use the first aid med. And if you're eating the first aid med, I think you're doing it wrong. Okay, apparently if you're eating the fish, you can use the fish as a smoke grenade in itself, and that really forced somebody out of position. That's going to be a nice little pickup there from Junie. Good play with the stinkfish. And now Junie, of course, 100. Actually feeling pretty good. Got that extra elimination. Guaranteed the team another 2 points. Now just how long can he stay low and keep this game alive for themselves? Because there's still quite a few people alive. Just over 60 players here around the Colossal Crops area. Another minute until Storm closes in on this next location. And we'll have to see if Junie has to make a run for it once again. Oh, Siri, or not Siri, Junie tried to get the jump onto somebody. However, no contact made, and it could have given away his position. We'll have to see. Gonna open fire there. Maybe trying third party at additional engagement. Of course, could definitely be beneficial, but of course, giving away your position could be very nerve-wracking if a team of 2 or 3 happens to jump onto Junie. Did eat a little bit of shield damage in that last engagement. Shots fired, only going to take him up for a little bit of shield damage. Going to try and chase, actually. Knocks him down into the white. Not sure if he's actually knocked him completely or not, however. And it looks like he very well might have. I do see Junie's name up on the left side, so Junie going to get himself 3 eliminations here for the Saints squad. Even when acting as a solo. Doing a fantastic job keeping the Saints in the game, which is really interesting. Normally, when we get to these end game scenarios, it seems to be Siri who's been the last one alive. Then I guess last week, we did see Lasix clutch up for one of the series to, I believe, give Saints a victory royale even during one of the final games of week 2. And it always felt like Junie was a bit more of like a supportive kind of player, but definitely showing that he can keep team on his shoulders as well when the time calls. Guaranteeing the Saints get themselves in the upper half of this lobby. Otherwise, if the Saints just dropped really quickly, they would have been done before 70 players were even, or with 70 players in the game, they would have not gotten much points based off of positioning. Junie was able to make his move and find himself a safe spot for at least a moment. I'm trying to figure out alongside you guys what the heck that squid just did. It attached itself to the wall, and I'm not sure if it ate through it or not, but it's a bunch of new things, of course, with this Fortnite season. We're all learning together here. This is where things start to get kind of messy, however. Junie being the lone wolf of the squad. Trying to maneuver himself alongside the storm. Does not have really anyone for cover fire or anything like that either, so as soon as he makes his move, there's always a chance that a group of 2 or 3 just catch him and just basically jump him, but we'll have to see as this game goes along here. Of course, game 1 out of a possible 10 on the board here tonight. Okay, some shots being fired here from Junie. Not sure if they made contact, however. A little bit of server lag going to make this a little bit messy here for us. Continually just trying his best, Junie, to keep himself alongside the storm. You can see other players, a bunch of other colleges, keeping themselves nice and close. Shotgun blast. Did that actually touch Junie? I don't think it has. Was a close call. We do see them actually trying to close onto Junie. He's really trying to get the high ground, trying to escape from this, but it does leave himself a little bit open. He was hit, but for how much? For about 40, or 35 rather. So down to 65 shields, but that's about it. Still has a decent amount of health to go into this late game battles. They're down to 34 players here in this game. Saints, as of this moment, with I believe 5 eliminations on the board. Yeah, this is where it gets a little bit irritating. So not only is that storm getting smaller every single round, but at the same time, it's just going back and forth all over the place. And Junie, oh no, falls into a pit of other players. You're not getting out of that one alive. And that is going to have the Saints putting themselves in 12th for game number 1. Definitely interesting nonetheless. I think the Saints scored themselves about 38 points in game number 1 for PlayVS. There is a there's a link that I meant to grab is prior to the stream happening, but I totally blundered. That would be, of course, Fortnite Tracker, because that will allow you to keep an eye on this session as the game goes on, or as these matches go on. See if I can find it real quick. PlayVS College. There we go. Post that in just a moment. Ah, bingo. Okay. Okay, there. In the Twitch chat right now is the Fortnite tracker. So this will allow you to see the results strictly from this session here. Of course, with the Saints find themselves 38 points. This does put them where exactly? In theory, this would have put them in the lead, question mark, as soon as this refreshes, because the highest team I see right now is 32 points. So, in theory, might be a nice start here for our Saints squad. But that being said, we'll have to see in just a second. Looks like Lasix saying in the chat too, the servers feel like you're playing from Australia or oceanic servers. So it's definitely not what you'd like to see for a competitive environment, but I guess if there is some sort of small victory, it's the fact that everybody is stuck with the exact same server lag and whatnot here tonight, so everybody's playing on the same playing field. But you can probably hear it. We're already going to be hopping into game number 2. Looks like we're aiming for the exact same spot. Let's see what the Saints can pull off this time. One of the other things that have to keep an eye on too is that, like, in the last little bit, the Saints would always look for certain NPCs or so nice. Finding the purple bow off the start, the one that sets things ablaze. Very nice find there for Siri. But let's go back to what I was talking about. One thing, of course, we're going to have to worry about is the location of some of these NPCs. A lot of the Saints' strategy in the past was basically trying to get whatever weapons they could, but then leveling them up via bounties from some of the NPCs. But that being said, a lot of these NPCs have moved, or their quests have changed if they have not, or rather their bounties would have changed compared to what they were before, so definitely could throw a wrench into the swing of things here. Maybe, of course, asking yourself, why beat up the transport truck? Why not use it? Like, in the broken down cars or cars and trucks and whatnot always have a chance now to drop some of those metal craftable items, which are definitely going to be critical when trying to level up your guns or get yourself into the guns with special effects. Rather than take the transport, try to find some of those harder to find materials. Okay, getting the update right now in regards to the Saints' positioning. As of this moment, they are right in position number 20. With the first place team have themselves a solid first round with 62. So Saints have a little bit of catching up to do if they want to try to find themselves that first spot. But of course, we still have plenty of time here tonight, whether it be 10 games in total or till 11 o'clock EST, PM EST. Still plenty of time to make this work. By seeing the truck say Rocket League radio, that does remind me, be sure to join us for a Rocket League doubleheader tomorrow, starting at 8 p.m. There should be a play versus match at 8 and then one at 9:30 as well. It's the Endeavor, Kamal, and Garashi all in action for the season opener of Play versus Rocket League. Gotta be a nice little extra find there for Siri. Find himself a shotgun alongside rifle. Basically has everything he could possibly want, plus potions for days as well. Gonna try and hand some off over to Junie and Lasix as well. But puts the Saints in a decent position. Of course, those small potions, you do want to keep a couple of them on hand in case you do find yourself into a gunfight, considering those small potions take less time to actually chug compared to the blues. That being said, though, you can't go past 50 shields with them, so that's why having all of these blue potions are definitely strong as well. As we see Siri loaded up with 3 of them as of this moment. This game moving a little bit quicker compared to the last one. Last time by, at this point, we still had like 80 people still left in the game, but we're already down to 63. I cannot recall if we started with the full 99 this time or not, but Saints being able to move themselves up further ahead off the start is definitely a good sign. See if you can find any more of those extra metal pieces, those circular ones that we'd be looking for. I think he found about 2 of them. And I do believe you can pass those on like other building resources as well. Possibly being able to level up an assault rifle or a shotgun later on down the road there with those crafting pieces. Yeah, so unfortunately there for Siri, that bounty that did end up popping up was the hunt a specific player. Not exactly the kind of one that they would be looking for. Oftentimes, if you do get a bounty that's like just protect your own teammate, those ones are just free gold at that point, and those are very easy to complete and be able to use towards upgrading a weapon. So hence the bounty failed that time by trying to hunt somebody specific. Now, at least in this situation, Saint Squad able to hop into their sedan and get themselves out of Dodge, out of that storm this time by. I know it really messed up their early game, considering they had so many skirmishes early, put them in the storm, forced them to blow through so much healing materials. At this point, Siri was dead in the last game, and Junie had gotten revived. And the only downfall, however, as we do see Siri getting kind of baited out by the log and the rope there this time by. I mean, with no engagements, of course, no eliminations equals no points in that regard, so going to have to definitely make up for it in regards to their finishing position as of this rate, unless they can find some additional eliminations as this game goes on. In the grand scheme of things, still relatively early. However, 55 players left in the game. Apparently, Siri is just the caller of blue potions, constantly finding potion after potion here, pretty much wherever he goes. And I do believe that was a pump shotty coming, or that was a pump shotgun that was handed over to Siri that time by. Was initially blue, but of course was able to craft that one up to a purple rarity, better damage, better accuracy, exactly what he needs for those close range engagements. In theory, he should have basically one of every type of style engagement that he would want. Long range with the crossbow, medium range with the assault rifle, and then of course has that shotgun for close quarters encounters. Finally, after a relatively quiet early game, Saints finally going to find themselves some contested territory right on the outskirts of this west side of the new safe zone, the new Eye of the Storm, if you will. Already a couple pyramid structures. Definitely looks like an engagement would have occurred here at some point or another. Series spots a squad, however, of course, that is the explosive arrows too, so even if the shot hits the ground or something a little bit low, doesn't quite get it out properly, those arrows will explode or start burning things down and will catch buildings on fire as well. Solid shot there for Siri. That did a solid chunk of damage. 60, I think, initially, but then 2 extra hits from the explosion as well. You kind of see the effects of those fire bolts in action, just eating away at whatever building happens to be there. Just another way to try and flush out some of these opponents and maybe, just maybe, finally get the Saints into some engagements. Try and maybe find themselves a knock or two. Try and make this happen towards Lazy Lake. Saints in progress of getting ready to set up a fort. However, the Eye of the Storm kind of moves a little bit, so they're going to have to shift their fort to not necessarily be with the building, but instead try and get a little more centered here. But they're going to get open fired upon. A little bit of damage going into Siri's shield. Shots fired from across the street. Are incoming as well, which might be carrying another team. They're going to try and take the high ground, bring the rest of the squad with them. Does not want to face that car head on. Some more shots fired. Going to be taking some of Siri's shields again. First potions ready and waiting. Okay, arrow not quite going to find its mark. Does give his position away, however, and he's going to get open fired upon just a little bit. But nice part for St. Clair going into this next section, as I do manage to find somebody maybe overextending themselves just ever so slightly. Get a little bit of damage onto him, but nothing too significant as of yet. Yeah, the nice thing for St. Clair in this situation, pretty much dead center of the Eye of the Storm. Everybody on their squad are nice and close, bundled up with each other. Also very healthy as well, just a little bit of health damage and very minor shield damage for Siri. And if there's one thing that, of course, that does not change here in competitive Fortnite, that's these endgame fort battles are going to start getting nuts. Probably just about another 2 to 3 minutes time. Little bit of action below. Siri gonna try and take a pot shot here at this team that's trying to retreat. And shots fired, of course, from the other side here, going up against the Saints. Okay, and it looks like this crossbow specifically, not so much a fired coating bow, but more like a mortar shell, kinda. But Siri getting jumped on a little bit. Junie right there alongside him. But that's a lot of damage coming through the floor and through the ceiling, so going to have to make a run for the hills. Going to be knocked down to basically their HP. Shields basically gone. 10 left. I'm trying to hold off the onslaught just a little bit more until the rest of the Saints can come trying to reinforce Siri and maybe try and make a move to the outside. But again, there's so much ammunition getting poured into this wall. Saints in a bit of a pickle. Junie did get knocked, so he's going to be out of the play for at least a moment. Lasix is still here. That being said, though, Siri is able to get Junie out of dodge, possibly get him back and revived just in time. Has a shield potion ready for him in just a moment. But has to keep him revived in the meantime. Just enough time. There you go. Drops the potion for him. Everybody going to top on off. Junie's still in the game. This is going to be 2 games in a row where he's basically gone down, but teammates get him back up. And even though he may not be the most healthy as of this moment, I mean, if he takes that health pack, he should be A-okay. But never say die there for the Saints and for Junie. $50 players still left in the game, and we're about to get into the section where it starts getting extremely difficult to deal with. That storm not going to be in the Saints' favor at all, so they're going to have to make a run for it at some point or another. Oh, good jump there for the Saints as they're able to tag a lot of damage onto one player. Not enough to take him down. They're going to try and use this extra crossbow, try and blow away some of these walls. Little extra mortar shell styles, just trying to tear through the wall. Maybe not as successful at trying to flush a player out, but that being said, if a player rotates the wrong way, walks into one of those, that's definitely going to hurt like hell. Did you see basically 30 damage from just a secondary explosion? Not to mention with all of the ammunition the rest of the Saints are pouring in here. Good damage, 20 damage per explosion that time by hitting twice. So that player is down into the white. Basically gone. They can find the finishing blow. That would definitely be huge. Right now, I don't think they have any eliminations on the board. They did find the player in question. Just a matter of finishing them off. Quite a few players have fallen within the last couple of seconds. We're down to 42 now. Through the wall we go. Tags on the players for a tiny little bit. And bring up those explosive bolts once again. Whichever team that is, forced to run for the hills for at least this moment. Big shot actually here from Siri. He's going to find the snipe actually. Verdon, I think that was Orzo Duck. Not sure which school he's from, but it's going to be the elimination. Just going to make sure that they can find themselves that finishing blow, get themselves that point. So Saints going to get their first kill on the board here for game number 2. I like the fact that they picked up the player that yeeted them basically a little bit into a safer position, just to make sure that they can get the finishing blow and that nobody else stuck it in there on them. Got the storm on the move. Saints making their way to try and get themselves into a fine position. for these late game battles, and they're starting to find a couple engagements as well, trying to chase down yet another player. Going to elude them for at least a moment, but not for very long. Siri does, of course, spot them out. Huge shotgun blast. 148 with one shot alone. Without questions, any shields that player had is absolutely gone at this point. Big damage coming out here from Siri again. This one going to hit for 80. Lasix is going to be taken down and instantly taken out as well. So no more Lasix for this game. That being said, Siri going to be able to find the refrag of sorts here onto one of those players. Gets a jump on them, does end up finding the final one. I think it's going to be 3 eliminations in the pocket of St. Clair. Fired upon from behind. A nice little elimination for Siri. Somebody must have been left in the storm. He got credited for the kill, but I don't remember him taking any shots. So that is going to be number 3. It looks like there for Siri at least. Not sure how many Junie currently has or Lasix, so we'll have to see momentarily to get ready to wrap up this second game. As we're within 10 players left to go. Junie does end up going down. So Siri, late game Siri is always nuts. So we're looking forward to seeing what he could pull off. Guaranteeing the top 8. But let's see if he can manage to get a little further. Maybe sneak himself out a couple eliminations as well. Would be absolutely nuts. We'll have to see in a second. Somebody's definitely trying to pressure him from up above. A bit of an awkward spot to try and be in. He's trying to make a move. However, wherever he goes, he is just getting absolutely melted. Of course, going to find some of the meat, but that meat is basically just a faster first aid kit, and that is going to be the kill going over to Siri, and that gets himself another, but going to end up getting into second position. One more shot from behind finishes him off. So now that last one gave them about 90 some odd points. Here we're going to hop on back over here to us while they do end up queuing up for the next game. But solid job there for St. Clair. Managed to pull off a second place finish, plus wrapped up quite a good handful of eliminations in the very end of that game. So a good start going into this one. Going to take ourselves a very quick break before game number 3. Quick water break for myself, and then before you know it, we'll be right back and we'll figure out exactly where our Saints stand here in the week 3, or this week 3 session of the PlayVS Fortnite Trios.